John came home from his mission. I was at BYU studying, and we were married January the 2nd, 1964. We finished, I was able to graduate in elementary education and actually an organ minor, and John, two years later, graduated in French and then went on and received his master's in French literature. From that time, we moved to Idaho, Sugar City and Rexburg, where we raised our 10 children. These were happy times, hard times, but worthwhile years. We built a home in Sugar City, and that became the family home. Maybe I could just tell you a few of the things that stand out in my mind. Work was always an important part of our family life. The children learned how to work. They learned how to keep their rooms cleaned and do dishes and yard work and plant gardens and weed them. And kind of a highlight in our children's life was the time of harvest. We would glean potatoes when it was potato harvest, and usually we could get as many as 1,000 pounds of potatoes. These were the potatoes that were left over during the day that the farmer hadn't picked up. Corn was a fun time. We harvested the corn and had to blanch it, cut it off the cob, and freeze it. And applesauce was another big point in our life. We picked the apples off our trees and made applesauce. So these were some of the projects that were fun and united us as a family. Our morning usually started around 6:30 or 6 o'clock, and everybody had to get out of bed, make their beds, clean their room. Everybody had a specific work assignment to do. Also, the children, we had 3 pianos, and 3 of them kids would be practicing them in the morning. We had sons on trumpets were going, violins were going, pianos were going. It was rather hectic, but kind of fun. So just before the children left for school, John would read the scriptures to them. Each child had a Book of Mormon, and we would read, we would talk about it, and then said our family prayer, and the children would go off to school. After school, more piano practicing, sports. Our boys particularly liked wrestling and track and cross country. So these were just some of the many things that our children did. Family home evening was a fun night that I think most the children loved. We would always study a scripture, a lesson, and then have something fun to do. Our children relate that one of the fun evenings we had is when we play hide and seek. And we turn all the lights off in the house, and then we had somebody that had to find everybody, and the kids scattered in all the different rooms. Father John liked to crawl in the crib, baby's crib, and hide. And then if the kids found him, he'd yell out something and scare them to death. But that was always really lots of fun. We liked to play volleyball on our front yard, and another favorite was the jelly bean throw. He had gathered up jelly beans, and he'd throw it up in the air, and then the kids would scramble to get it on the grass. Anyway, bit by bit, the children left the house and went on missions, and all our 6 sons served missions in England, Scotland, Spain, Ukraine, and Russia, and St. Petersburg, Philadelphia there. And our daughters served in Las Vegas and Novosibirsk. Yes, San Diego, Spanish speaking, yeah. So As previously mentioned, we were called to be the mission president in Novosibirsk, Russia. I would just like to comment on a couple of things that has touched my heart and endeared me to these people. They were the poorest of the poor. They had nothing, just hardly food to eat. But I remember the Cute Branch president said, let's have a tea party. And by that, so they all brought their teacups, and they poured hot water in the teacups. We sat around a great big table, and they brought their raspberry jam. They'd put their jam in the hot water, and that was their tea. And then somebody brought some biscuits. That was an example of a party. I remember when, we decided to have a party for the adults and invite them because they never had anything. And so we went to a school and asked them, could we have a party here after hours in your school and use your ovens? And they said, well, we've never done that before, but you're welcome. So the cooks there stayed on, and we made meatloaf for these wonderful elderly people, and the cooks even helped us prepare it. We did meatloaf and baked potatoes and corn and had a wonderful meal. We even arranged to have buses come and pick the elderly people up at certain points along the way. And then these people came and they were dressed in their finery. What a glorious night it was for these people who mainly are forgotten. And then we took him into another room in the school and had a program. And they do things that are very different than us. They love their Russian poetry. And so one man would get up and recite a long poem, and another one would. And then an elderly man did a tap dance solo for us. Anyway, that was the party. And when we returned many years ago to see these people, they said, we remembered when you had this wonderful party for us. One more comment. Baptisms in Russia was a highlight. They don't have much social life. And so we'd go visit the people in the different cities, and we had to rent swimming pools for them to be baptized. Anyway, at about 5 o'clock after church, everybody would assemble in this, we call it a bassine, this where the swimming pool is, and our new converts, our new investigators would be baptized. And they would bring all their friends. I mean, it was amazing. And we figured out that 50% of the people that were non-members of the church were baptized. So it was a wonderful seeing the gospel grow in this cold, forsaken country.